Hey, what's up? This is Seth Mosley, and you're listening to the Full Circle Music Show, the why of the music biz.
How's it going? This is X O'Connor, and today we have with us Tyler Bryant, a massive guitar player with some serious musical skills.
Tyler Bryant, and the Shakedown is his band's name. You may have seen him on tour with bands like AC/DC or Guns N' Roses. Not sure if you've ever heard of those or not.
Maybe Aerosmith. I don't know. If you're into that kind of thing.
Perhaps even Eric Clapton.
Yeah. Craziness, man.
For any of you who are fans of just legit, no frills, amazing musicality, this band is unmatched.
Yeah, it's all out rock and roll. I mean, it's the absolute epitome of just pure rock. I mean, these guys just lay it all down, and they're some of the hardest working individuals I think maybe we've ever come across. That's
why I loved this interview, because a lot of the folks that we've talked to sort of have lived in the top 40 radio, you know, right down the middle kind of lane. But what I love about Tyler and the career that he's built is that it's without any of that.
Yeah, absolutely. He literally has waited for nobody. Whenever he sees an opportunity, he just takes it, and they just work hard and literally take every opportunity they get passed to them. And because of that, they're playing in front of 100,000 people with AC/DC and stuff like that. It's mind-blowing, with no record label record out and not a lot of help at radio at all.
It was really inspiring to me, and I think to a lot of our listeners who are tuning in every week are maybe feeling like, well, where do I fit in this lane? Because I hear about all these people trying to go after radio, and it's such a small, it's almost like a pinhole size format where, like, well, how do you fit in that? And what do you do if you don't fit in that? I feel like this show answers that question.
Yeah, it was definitely the most different interview that we've done, because these guys really do find a lot of comfort and a lot of success being on the road, putting in the time in front of crowds and connecting their music with people. And they talk about touring Europe where they'd never even been before, and they play a huge show with AC/DC, and then the next night they book a small club because they've got the night off, and tons of fans from the show with AC/DC flock to this club, and they're packing all these clubs around Europe with literally no radio play or anything, nothing out there other than just word of mouth and them putting out the music and just working it.
Yeah, so if you're an artist out there who feels like you don't fit right down the center, keep doing what you're doing is the message of this show.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can totally build an amazing career, and sometimes an even more amazing career, and potentially long-lasting. I'm not saying one way's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is the way that Tyler's done it, and I think it's really inspiring for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to hearing it again.
Yeah. So let's jump into our interview with Tyler Bryant live from Full Circle Music Studios in Franklin, Tennessee. We're here with Tyler Bryant of Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown.
Yep. Love it.
The greatness. And I've spilled coffee on my white shirt.
Oh, no.
Always. This is why I cannot wear white. I always joke with my wife, I do not want anything other than black.
Yeah.
And she's just like, that's depressing. So that's why I'm wearing a white shirt today. And
you might be able to compromise and go like a mocha color or something.
Yeah, mocha, coffee color.
Coffee shade.
A khaki, National Geographic.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd love to talk about today, because we talked a little bit yesterday. We've been in the studio writing a little bit, and you've just been playing us some of your new record, which is amazing.
Thank you very much.
Self-produced.
Yeah.
In your house.
Yep.
Marshall's in the kitchen.
Marshall's in the kitchen.
Where else would they go is the question of the day.
Well, the thing is, they are other places. There's just a lot of Marshalls in my house.
That's where they congregate.
So we did the world tour with AC/DC last year.
Yeah.
And
which, by the way, I need to stop and say, on that tour, you played my soccer team's home stadium.
Yeah.
The Etihad Stadium in Manchester, England. He told me that earlier. I literally got goosebumps.
That's so
I got
funny.
goosebumps when he told me that. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
But so we thought we had big amps like equipped. We felt well equipped to play a big outdoor soccer stadium or a big open field.
Yeah.
And then we realized like we're not equipped. You know, like I remember the first European show where it was outside of the arenas, and it was because on the arenas we were using 1/4-inch cables, you know, and it's like, you know, still a big stage, but it's like 20,000 people versus 70 to 100,000 people. Yeah. And so I was like, I see why people use wireless systems, and I see why Angus uses 1900 watt amps or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, 1900 watt?
Yeah, it's no joke. It's the loudest thing you've ever heard in your life.
Holy cow.
So you come off stage and then you hear that getting cranked. You're like, wow, that is significantly
I
louder.
hit up my buds at Marshall. I was like, we need some amps. We need some, some muscle behind what we're doing.
That's amazing. So what I love about your story is we've got to chat a little bit yesterday is you kind of live somewhere between formats. I mean, we talk a lot about radio. We talk a lot about kind of the modern music industry and how influenced by radio it is, particularly in the States.
Right.
What I've heard from you is you've just been like, screw it, we're going to Europe and we're going to go tour with AC/DC and Guns N' Roses, and we're just going to do whatever we want to do.
Right.
And you're making a living at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. I mean, has that been a struggle to sort of, find where you guys fit in?
Of course, because, I mean, it has and it hasn't, because we kind of, the one thing I really love, I'm grateful to be in the band with the Shakedown, because we're always there to go like, hey, would the 15-year-old version of yourself like be down with you right now? Would it get behind this song? And so our band, I feel like, is rooted in integrity. It's all about, do we believe in this? Would this music excite us? Because that's the only way that we're going to be able to perform it live and excite our fans and the people who, put emotional stock in what we do. And so we've had a lot of discouraging meetings with, we just got out of our record deal with Universal Republic and through John Barbados as well. And it was a thing where they have one of the best radio teams in the world, and they kill it if you give them what they need. And so they're going like, they start saying words like active rock or alternative. And I'm like, what? Like, what the heck is active rock?
Yeah, I said the same thing one time.
Workout rock?
I just don't know. So I start listening to, like active rock radio and alternative rock. And we're sort of in a place where we're not quite hard enough for active rock.
Yeah.
Or it's too 90s, or it's too much guitar, or it's
too raw.
Yeah, or it's not enough. It's the wrong sounding guitar.
Yeah.
It's like Fender Princeton rather than Mesa tread plate or whatever it is, for all you nerds out there.
Yeah.
And then for alternative rock, we're too hard.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? So it's this weird place where we're in the middle, and we go like, okay, do we chase this, like the trends that are happening now, or do we do what we do and do it the best that we can and make, like, jump in the pool with our arms and our legs, like full force, and try to make the biggest splash on our own and hopefully set our own trend. And that's what we've chosen to do. And, it'll either work in a big way or it won't. And that's the thing, is we just have to make the music that we love and believe in. And thank God that we've, ended up on great tours, because we've realized that we're a live band, and that's how we make a living.
Yeah.
And, the first single off the Wayside EP, it was our last release under Universal Republic. They got that song to do pretty well on active rock, but it was like a big, it was like Rudolph's nose in a line of 30 of songs. We're just, people are like, what is this song that we're listening to?
Which can be a good thing.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah.
Was it not for you guys?
It was okay. I mean, it got to like, I don't know, it was like high 20s on the Billboard active rock charts for like a month or something like that. It wasn't a long time, and it didn't, do what they were hoping.
It wasn't an
do.
active rock smash.
And we were going like, are you guys surprised? Like,
Did it? Because I was going to say, even at 20, did it do anything to change how you guys were working at that time? Like, did it just completely change your lifestyle where all these new doors opened, or was it kind of like, okay,
no,
that happened?
No, we didn't notice it at all.
Yeah.
I didn't, it was like, call this DJ, and then I would end up talking to this DJ about the records he wished he could play.
Yeah.
And that's what would confuse me so much, is because there's definitely a system to radio that I'm not really, we've talked about it a little bit, but I come from a blues background.
Yep.
I learned to play from an old blues man in Texas, and even as a kid, I was offered a record deal, and it was like, we're going to set you up with other kids, and we're going to, start a band. And I was like, no, man, I just want to play the blues. I want to make, like, I remember like Lyric Street Records gave me a little $10,000 check to go make some recordings. I think they were legitimately upset when I handed them back like 3 Freddie King covers that I had made. You know, it's like, what did you expect, man? So, and I still kind of have that mentality where, I don't know if you guys ever have dove into this on your show. I'm sure you have, because it's something that I feel like a lot of our artists struggle with. It's mixing art, something that really moves you, and commerce.
Yeah.
Let's eat and let's survive. And so all we try to do in our band is have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So touring has been your bread and butter. And I mean, let's just talk about that. I mean, how do you get invited out on a AC/DC or Guns N' Roses tour without radio, without big #1 chart topping songs?
It's hard to say, honestly. I think, one, you got to believe in what you're doing. You have to be convicted every time you put on a guitar, whether it's in a writing room, whether it's in a coffee shop.
Yep.
That's what, you know, I have kids ask me at our shows who have bands, like, how do you get on these tours? How do you get these shows going? And it's like, you literally play every show you get offered.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, whenever I was starting out, I had a fake email account and I was the band's manager. My name was like Sarah or something like this. And I represented Tyler. This was before the Shakedown. I represented Tyler Bryant. And
What's the Spinal Tap manager?
yeah, and it would,
with the cricket bat.
you know, and there was another time where it's like, I literally called the box office of the House of Blues. This is when I was younger. I called them every single day until they finally told one of the booking agents, this guy won't stop calling. He wants to play. And he called me and was like, dude, like, you can't call the box office and book a show. And I was like, but can you book me?
Yeah.
And he's like, send me some recordings. So I sent him some recordings and some videos, and he put my band on for Dickie Betts. And then I called the Dallas Morning News, and I was like, my band's playing, opening up for Dickie Betts of the Allman Brothers. I think you should come film it and do a story. And they did. And it's that kind of hustle that I think is, you know, what I've learned that we have to do, because anytime we've waited on someone else to do something for us, we fall short. And so I think it's funny because we were at CAA, the booking agency, for a long time, and they did great things for us. And after about a year and a half of not touring as much as we'd like, we thought, let's make a change, let's move agencies. But we had such a good relationship with our agent that he'd become family, this guy named John Huey.
Yeah.
And so we left. We were on the road supporting Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. And I get a call from Huey going, he's just like, I love you guys, and I wanted to know if it'd be okay if I pitched you for the AC/DC World Tour. And of course we said yes, but this is someone who's not our agent. And so that's where, you know, maintaining relationships and always shooting people straight. And even if it's a tough conversation, going like, I think we have to move somewhere else because we're not getting the love here. You know, you guys, they kill it with country acts out of Nashville. And I'm sure that the rock department does great too. We just weren't getting the love that we needed because maybe what we were doing didn't move them there. But, you know, I think even when a relationship has to stop, it doesn't, professionally, it doesn't have to stop emotionally. And I think that's, you know, we're all from the South and believe in Southern hospitality and shooting people straight even when it's a tough conversation. And I think that's helped benefit our band, you know?
Well, I love that because there's so many bands that we come across that are just constant complaining about their team. They're like, my label's not doing this, my manager's not doing this, we don't have our publisher getting songs on sync, our publicist is not scheduling. It's just excuses and complaining about people not doing stuff for them. And what I'm hearing you say is like, screw that, do it yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's like we just made our own record. And I called a few of the people from Universal Republic after we got out of our deal. And it was sort of I think both parties were like, this isn't really working for us. We weren't giving them what they need to do what they do best. And they were like, you guys just aren't setting yourself up to win, you know? But I talked to a few people from the label who were like, wait, you guys aren't with us anymore? And it's like, hey, listen, you're always on the guest list at a Shakedown show. You guys come out. Thanks for putting in the work, man, because it's hard to find people to work for you. And it's hard to find people who will work as hard as you will. So you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Or at least, I mean, even like when it comes to like making music videos or setting up photo shoots or finding the direction, I feel like that has to come from the artist because I feel like a lot of artists fall short when they're waiting on someone else to show them the direction.
Yeah, truly, we've run across it a lot that a lot of times, no one's going to work harder than yourself for what you need. And it's great to see that, you've got the power and the drive to do that. And what I also love is that you kind of come at this from a different place than a lot of people we talk to, in that you actually really like being on the road a lot and you want to be out a lot.
Oh yeah, all the time.
How's that work like in your personal life and everything? Like, does that affect it at all, or is everyone you're surrounded with really cool with being on the road all the time?
Well, our bass player just got married, which was awesome. He's been dating his girl for a long time and would have been a dummy not to marry her. So he just got married, but I wonder how I say that like, he just got married, man. It's because it's all changed. No, it's not. We're all we love being on the road. And, of course you miss people back home. I miss my girl when we go on the road. And, I miss like walking around barefoot in my yard and make my own coffee machine. And, you get sick of truck stop coffee, but it's just a different way of living. I need both to survive. Or to like feel content. I need time in the studio. I need time on the road. Yeah. And I've been lucky enough to get both. So
that's great. And it's great to have people around you that do think in a similar way and understand what you need, especially because you're a driven guy. Yeah. Who's, you're ready to make the hustle happen.
Well, yeah,
man.
We also know that, hey, you want to have a place to come home to, you got to get out on the road.
Absolutely.
You got to get out and work and get out behind the merch table and meet the people who support you and give them love and sell what you believe in. So that's kind of our model.
So talk about, because when you guys go out with an AC/DC or a Guns N' Roses, I mean, let's talk about the business side of it. So are you kind of relying pretty heavily on merch, or is it
I'll be honest with you, merch at an AC/DC show was pretty horrible for us because they have 24 merch stands. Yeah. One of the most identifiable logos of all time. Probably 15, 20 carts selling devil horns for $15 a pop, and keychains and bottle openers and blankets and bed sheets and posters. Yeah. So I believe on that tour we were allowed to sell one T-shirt and one CD from like one or two merch stands. Yeah. So that tour was more about the exposure for us. It's our club shows where it's our crowd, where it's our room, where we can do well on merch.
So you're not going in freaking out and saying and throwing a fit about it. You're like, hey, I'm in front of all these people.
Yeah, there's no point in throwing a fit about it. It's you're
reaching 100,000 people.
They're doing such big business, and that's their priority. And they treated us so well too on that tour. As far as like, we got 3 shows with them to start with, and it was sort of an audition to say like, if Angus likes you after these 3 shows, then you can do the rest of America. And so after the 3rd show, we didn't hear anything from them. And so we were kind of sweating bullets. I know my girl flew out to Denver, which was where the 3rd show was. And I remember the night before the show, my palms were sweaty. I was going like, well, if Angus hates us, like, how are we going to go on? Because AC/DC is one of our favorite bands. And so after the 3rd show, we stopped one of the production guys in the hall and said, have you heard anything? Should we show up to Fargo tomorrow? And
do we need to make travel arrangements?
And he goes, well, we ordered you guys a drum riser. And so we thought, okay, well, that's probably a good sign. And then Angus's wife stopped us in the hall and she goes, you didn't hear? Angus decided after the 1st show that he wanted you guys on the rest of the tour. And so we were just like sweating it out because no one had told us. And so then after 5 or 6 shows of going for it every night, this was our first time in arenas, mind you. So we're just soaking it in. We're trying to be sponges and just learn as much as we can. And
what were some of the big things you learned from that? I'm sure that's just like a college education.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, it's one is watching. I think it goes to say like any band we've ever toured with, we've tried to watch. Like if we're supporting them, then they're a headliner for a reason, and pay attention and learn what you can. So watching the way Angus works the crowd, man, he gets the people up at the top of the room. It's the simple songs. It's the whoa-ohs. It's the stuff they can clap to. It's just like I don't want to say dumbed down, but we simplified our set in a pretty big way because a lot people hadn't heard us. So rather than come out with some like, I don't know, really intense, complicated jam. Let's come out with something that they can clap to, or that the girls can shake their butts to, and that they can sing whoa-oh while spilling their $12 beer on themselves. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that we learned, and also just...
How does that manifest itself in terms of simplifying? Are you literally changing your songs, or just playing songs that are easy to sing along with?
Both. Yeah, I mean, there were certain times where it's like, hey, you know the whoa-oh that happens in this song? We're going to open the song with it. That way they can know it, you know. By the time it gets to them, they're going to know. And it's stuff like that we just never had experience with. You know, we need a show intro. We need to make some walk-on music. Yeah. And we need to work with the front of house guy and the lighting guy so that our banner with our band name comes on right as we hit the big downbeat. Yeah. And that way it sounds like a bomb going off and we get everyone's attention. Yeah. Because it's, you know,
otherwise it's just trickling on.
And so it's all about just capturing their attention, because when you're an opening band for a band that huge, you're essentially the plastic wrap on the CD they've been standing in line outside the record store to get. They want it. They're going to rip you off, and you are an afterthought that they have to sit through. So you have to get their attention and make it worth their time. Wow. You know? So, and even whenever they offered us Europe, they said, we've had openers come out and get booed off the stage. The crowds are much larger. These are people who've seen the band 20, 25, 30 times. Yeah. So we want you guys to know that you will get stuff thrown at you. You will get booed. And so we said, bring it on. Let's take them on, you know, every last one of them. And we didn't have any of those experiences.
That's awesome.
But I think it was because America had, the arena shows had been preparing us, and we went into it like ready to fight. It wasn't like, here we are, these are our songs. Yeah. Hope you like them. Yeah. It was like, we're here to grab you by the back of your neck and, you know, make you watch us. Yeah. So,
and it seems like that has become a pretty big place for Tyler Bryant fans, is Europe. Would you say that's your focus right now?
Yeah. Well, on that tour, we booked club shows on all our off nights. Yeah. We had a couple of off nights.
Super smart, by
here
the way.
And there, but it was pretty full on. And so it was AC/DC show. Say we play London, Olympic Stadium. Big sold out AC/DC show, 60, 70,000 people, whatever it is. Next night, we're in a 300 cap club. And I can say from the stage, we're playing in a club tomorrow. It's our first headlining show in London. You guys come out. Yeah. And then the room is full, you know? Yeah. And to me, that was a pretty, and even in markets that we didn't play with AC/DC, you know, like we would go to certain places in Spain where we played Spain with them, but we didn't play. We're playing like 3 or 4 hours away, and we show up and there's a line around the building. And so it just kind of goes to show that they're not as radio based over there. Yeah. It's more word of mouth. People, I don't know, it seems very loyal. Like they seem like if they're into rock and roll, they're loyal to that, and they show up for the bands, and they show up again the second. Like we went back and played a few places again, like Paris, and we did London again, and I see a lot of the same faces, and it's like I know I'm going to see those people when we go back too, because there's just I don't know, I just felt like there was a really good connection with the European audience.
Yeah. Is there a mentality shift when, like you're saying, one night you're playing big arena or outdoor stadium or something, and then the next night you're into a club? Like, is there like a headspace change going from just the different venues? Like, what's it like coming off of a huge arena and then going into the smaller club?
I honestly, for me, it's not different at all. It's just a show, you know? The one thing about there being a lot of people is, for me, it's easy to get distracted. Yeah. Because I would look out and just have a thought like, that's a lot of people. Yeah. That's more people than I've ever seen together in my whole life. Oh, like, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, and that's the last thing I ever want to do while I'm playing with the Shakedown is think. Yeah. And so I don't have that issue in clubs. Yeah. It's a lot easier to just kind of get to it. And there's a lot more crew guys on the side of the stage. It's just a lot more to sort of catch your attention. So I guess that is the difference, is just continuing to immerse yourself in the music and what you're actually there to do, and not get caught up in the hype of it.
So what do you feel like your biggest struggle is right now as a band, trying to make it, trying to take over the world if we'd say so.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It changes every day, honestly, you know.
What's your biggest struggle today?
Well, it's pretty early. It's like 9:30 in the morning or something like that.
Come on, man. I've been up for 4 hours now.
No, I think the biggest struggle today is figuring out what we're going to do with the record that we just made. And if you would have asked me a month and a half ago, it was, how are we going to make a record?
Yeah.
Because we just got out of our record deal, so there's obviously not a label advance to fund the album, and it's an expensive process to make an album, especially a good one.
Yeah.
And so we ended up calling in every favor that we could have ever called in. We rented some gear from friends. We borrowed gear from friends.
Yeah.
We transformed my house into more of a studio than it already was. So now there's, you know, a bass cab in the shower and Marshall's in the kitchen.
Cabling ran everywhere.
Exactly. There's a snake here and a snake there. And
Audio snakes, hopefully not real snakes.
we actually, we do have a real snake.
Really?
You just scared me right there.
Our drummer, Caleb, is really into reptiles anyways.
So you have one in the house?
Well, we did. It just moved.
Okay.
It just moved to his
With
his
the
lady's
guy
house.
or on its own?
With the guy. Yeah, her name's Josephine. She's a little spot, like what? I'm going to forget what she's called. Ball python. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's great. So yeah, there were a couple times where she's crawling around the pedal board in the studio, just slithering. I'll show you some. I'll show you some pictures. Yeah, she's cool. She's never gotten anybody, but
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
They ain't over yet.
She's sizing Caleb up, but Caleb's the drummer of the band. For all you listeners. So, anyways, but yeah, I mean that was the biggest problem 2 months ago. Was all right. We have to make a record because we've got this Guns N' Roses tour coming up, the Aerosmith dates, whatever. We need new music because the last time, that was the biggest frustration. That was the problem before that is we've got a world tour and we can't convince the label to put out more than a 6-song EP. Mm-hmm. When we turned in a full-length album that we really believed in and that we're playing the songs from live, so therefore fans can put videos up on YouTube, therefore they know the songs and they want to buy the songs, but they can't because the label is so concerned about getting a radio song, and they, you know what I mean? They're playing a different game, which is cool.
Yep.
But it's not the same game that we're playing, which is create music that's true to you, give it to the people who want it and can get something out of it. And so we got out of the deal, and we're like, all right, well, we're making a full-length album. We're trying to get the rest of the record back from Republic that they haven't put out. They're pretty cool, so hopefully we can figure something out there. But the last struggle was figuring out the record. We figured that out. We figured out mixing. Mm-hmm. That's being done right now. We've got like 4 songs left to mix. I'm going to go there after this. And then it was figuring out artwork. We're working on that. Yeah. And now it's figuring out when it's going to come out. And then it'll be figuring out press and promo and all the American tour. And there's always just, if it's not one thing, it's another. So,
and speaking of releasing it, we've been talking to a lot of people lately who are really embracing Spotify and a lot of digital mediums. Do you guys have plans to do physical copies, or have you thought about how you're going to release this?
Yeah, we've been kicking around a couple of ideas. We're obviously big, we love classic rock and classic records, and I collect vinyl, so we'll definitely be doing vinyl. I know that, Spotify's been great for the Shakedown, and, obviously we're going to put it up on all of those mediums and put it up on YouTube and whatever the children are.
What are the kids are running to these days?
I had the problem the other day where we finished all the tracking on the record, and I was like, "This is done. We're gonna be done with this now.
Yeah.
Let's put it onto a CD and drive around and listen to it." But nobody had a CD player. It was like
I was gonna say a blank CD would be just as hard for me to find these days. Too.
Yeah, so I found a whole stack of blank CDs, which I was shocked by. But then it was, how do I play this? And couldn't find a way to play the CD. So
that's how much times have changed.
I think that's something to definitely take into consideration when we're figuring out what we're going to do with physical product. That was something that we had a hard time with Republic. They were telling us it was like something like 90-something% of their artists don't do physical product.
Oh, wow.
Period anymore?
That's a huge percentage.
Wow.
I don't know how accurate that is, but maybe that was just someone at the label trying to get us not to do
They just didn't want you to do it.
It was like none of our artists do physical product anymore.
Yeah.
And that's how we sell CDs at the merch table.
Yeah, I was going to say,
especially
especially
we're a live touring band,
Yeah. just as you were saying, you have in Europe, especially a band like AC/DC with so much loyalty and stuff. Those fans are going to those shows and they're buying physicals, and a lot of the, especially that classic rock sound. It's all about having the disc or the vinyl and putting it on and just enjoying the experience.
Oh yeah.
So as we're kind of wrapping up, you talked about an interesting angle, and we've never heard anybody say it like this. We always ask, if you could go back to the 15-year-old you before jumping into all of this, what would you do differently? I like that you said, would the 15-year-old be proud of what I'm doing today?
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had that conversation a lot of times where, because I grew up, like, I met this guy named Roosevelt Twitty when I was 11 who sort of started just showing me records, and he became my best friend. So he'd pick me up from school, he'd put in a John Lee Hooker cassette, and he really taught me how to love and appreciate music. And he played with so much feeling that music became this sort of sacred thing to me, where it's like I saw like the way that he sort of extended that gift to me changed my whole family for the better. It changed me for the better. So I realized there's a lot more to it than just succeeding. And or because he worked at Campbell's Soup for 19 years, was a bus driver in Kansas City, you know, like he didn't do it professionally, but he did it in such a way that it changed my entire life. Yeah. And so I probably would have ended up with a job in my small town of 1,700 people. I wouldn't know what it's like to walk the streets of Prague, or I wouldn't, you know, to me, I have to constantly remember to take care of this thing, because no matter like what quote unquote level of success we reach with it, there is a kid who will get on a train from somewhere in Spain to come watch you in Paris, France, and will sleep on the street because he didn't have enough money for a hotel.
And that was a real thing that just happened.
Yeah,
right?
and that's sort of like one of those reminders. This can mean something to someone, so you have to treat it as such. That's why we have to make sure we write the best lines that are true to us. Why we make sure the notes make us feel something. And that's, I think, when you're like when a baby learns, or when a baby starts screaming, they're not hurting their voice because they haven't learned to use it wrong yet.
Yeah.
And so it's like whenever you first heard music, how did it make you feel? And I think it's important to try to like keep that and protect that, you know, not necessarily change, but step back and at least acknowledge why. Yeah. And just try to keep the gift protected.
Yeah.
That's well said. Yeah.
Tyler Bryant from Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown here on the Full Circle Music Show. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey, what's up? This is Seth Mosley.
And this is X O'Connor.
And you've been listening to the Full Circle Music Show, the why of the music biz.
This has been a production of the Full Circle Music Company with editing help from Jordan Salamoni.
And some elves too, right?
There's a lot of elves out there, actually. I hear them scampering as we're speaking.
We had elves specifically help with this one, because
it's too much rock for any
too
one
much
person.
rock. We had to soften the blow a little bit.
That's right.
But anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. And make sure you're following us on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Been talking a lot about Instagram lately, but I've started a vlog. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did, and I've watched it and enjoyed it.
X is probably going to be on 1 or 2 or 3.
If you guys are lucky.
Shortly. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can search Seth Mosley's vlog. You can search Full Circle Academy. That's been really fun to do. It's kind of like the raw, unfiltered version, not explicit, unfiltered. There's a difference.
Large difference.